Hey there, Bleeding Critic. Horror author Kyle Atwood here. And I know you've been asking me to do my horror therapy session for about a month now, and I apologize for the delay. Life has been rather hectic. Um, anyway, here I am. Here I am to do my horror therapy session. I actually have two stories that I could share with you guys, but I don't want to waste all your time tonight, so I'm going to share one of my personal favorites. Or disfavorites, if that's the correct term. Anyway, I was 11 years old, and I was asleep in bed. I don't know if it's a sleep paralysis, I'm not familiar with the medical terminology. I was in bed. It was actually early morning, so it was about 7:30 in the morning. And I was laying in bed, and I was just staring up at the ceiling, waiting to go back to bed because I didn't have school, and I just wanted to go back to bed because sleep was like my necessity. Sleep and video games was my necessity as a child. And I was staring up at the ceiling, and next thing I know, my blanket was over my face. I don't remember ever lifting it up and putting it on my face because I would have remembered. I started thrashing about, freaking out, and I couldn't get it off. I could not get it off. And it was freaking me out. My heart was chugging. I was starting to lose oxygen really quick. I had a very, very thick blanket. And I was sweating. I was panicking. I was crying. I was calling for my mom. I was calling for my stepdad. I was calling to my brother who was sleeping right on the other side of me. And nobody could hear me. And I was screaming bloody murder. I'm not even playing. After a bit of thrashing and kicking and bashing, I felt something pressed down on my shoulders, holding me there, and I couldn't move. My legs were flailing like crazy, but I still couldn't get out from the blanket. I was still screaming and crying. I thought somebody had into our house and was trying to kill me, trying to do some other unspeakable acts to me, and nobody could hear me. It's like I was trapped into some unknown world. It was scary. It was freaking terrible. I've actually never been able to tell anybody about this because it freaks me out to this day, and nothing really freaks me out like this had. And my legs were flailing. I was pressed down by something, and it felt like big hands. I'm saying big, clammy, leathery hands just pressing down on me through that blanket, and I was losing breath fast. I mean, I was vanishing from the world. I was losing consciousness. After my legs were flailing for a minute, my legs got pinned down themselves next by another pair of clammy hands. They were digging into me this time, though, as if they were trying to tear my calves off. And I continued to scream, and I don't know why. Just, for some reason, the hands stopped. I don't even know if they were hands, but they felt like hands, so I'm going to keep calling them hands. The hands stopped. The blanket pulled off my face, and before I could let out one last scream, I heard something whisper very, 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 very. It's not much of a whisper if it's very, very loud. It was more of a sigh in my ear, as if they had a gaping mouth that was drooling, as if it was about to clamp down on my face, and it was a loud sigh. And it sounded like yes, or it sounded like ass, even. It didn't have much meaning to me. And I screamed. That time, everybody heard me in the house. I launched out of bed and I ran to my mom. I ran. And I thought somebody was in my room. My stepdad went in there and took a look. He said there was nobody in there, that I just had a bad dream, but I know that was no dream. There was no way I fell asleep and woke up unless it was sleep paralysis. I know I was thrashing. I know I was thrashing, and I know I was screaming, and I know something was there. That much I know. The house we were living in wasn't even a house, it was a townhouse. The townhouses weren't even that old. I felt like, I don't know, it felt like I was trapped in some other place. It didn't even feel like I was in my bed when I was underneath that blanket. It was terrifying, and that's all I can remember of it, really. That was nine years ago. very fuzzy memory. A lot of stuff has happened since then, obviously, but that is by far the most terrifying thing that has ever happened to me. I want to thank Bleeding Critic for the opportunity to share my story. You can give me a follow on Twitter at the Kyle Atwood. Be sure to check out my books. You can find them all on Amazon.com. Never Forgive Me, Never Forget Me, A Stray Child, and 203, a short story collection. Those three are my books that are published currently. I have another one on the way. Once again, thank you, Bleeding Critic, for the opportunity to get to talk about this moment with somebody. That way nobody looks at me as if I'm crazy, as if I'm making this stuff up, as if I'm losing my mind, as if it's some vivid drug-induced hallucination. I appreciate this, and it feels very good to be able to talk about this sort of thing. Take care, guys, and once again, be sure to give me a follow on Twitter. See you guys.